Hello Year 11, on to your next lesson on the sine rule. Yesterday we looked at using the sine rule to find a missing side. Today we are going to focus on how we use the sine rule to find a missing angle. Very similar process. If we remember last lesson, the rule that we discovered, the rule that we found, was that if we have a triangle and we label our angles A, B, C, and then our opposite sides with the same letter but lowercase, then we had a ratio. We could use A over sine A would equal the same as B over sine B, which would equal the same as C over sine C. Okay, and we use that to find our missing lengths in our non-right angled triangles. Now we're going to use the same idea, but this time we're going to find missing angles. Now the only change I am going to make to our formula is simply just to make it a little bit easier when we've got to find missing angles. Now because this all relates to proportions and ratios, when I'm doing the division, if I flip every single one of these over, that relationship will stay the same. So I'm now going to use, for angles, sine A divided by A is the same as sine B divided by B is the same as sine C divided by C. Okay, so we've got one version to find a missing side. That's what we did last lesson. And we have one version to find missing angles. Now you can use each version to find the other one as well. It just makes our life a little bit easier if we use each version to find the missing part. It just stops us having to do quite so much rearranging. Okay, so if we think about using an example to show this, so if I take a triangle and I'm going to call this angle 50 degrees, I'm going to find this is my missing angle and we'll label that one A. We will say this can be 7 centimetres and this can be 6 centimetres. Okay. First thing, same as before, we always need to label these up. So label all your missing parts up just so that when we substitute into the formula it can be a little bit easier. If I am to find this missing angle at A, okay, first thing, always fill in the information you know. So we're going to use this formula and we'll fill in. So sine A over A that I know is 7 equals sine B, which is 50 degrees. So sine 50 over 6 equals sine C over C. Now, as the same as last lesson, because I've got my matching pair just here, okay, I know I can use the sine rule, so it's really important we still can identify when we can use the sine rule. So I'm definitely going to be interested in this one here. This one is the one that I'm trying to use to work out, so they will be the two that I pull down. So if I have sine A sine A over 7 equals sine 50 over 6, okay, I need to just manipulate this slightly so that I can find out what A is. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to times up by 7, so times both sides by 7. So I'll be left with sine A equals 7 sine 50 over my 6. Now, hopefully, after we looked at trigonometry, okay, we did our little recap lesson, we know that if sine A equals something, we can find A by doing the inverse sine. So effectively we inverse sine both sides. So we will have sine to the minus 1 of 7 sine 50 over 6. So into the calculator we go. We'll go sine to the minus 1, 7 sine 50 over 6. And we will get out A being 63.3 degrees. Okay, all it's done by flipping all of our fractions from the start, it just means we've got a little less manipulation we need to do. Okay, so it's well worth remembering that you've got two versions of this you can use. Okay, so just making sure we choose which one. As long as you remember to flip all of them, we'll be absolutely fine. Okay, right. Couple for you on here. What I want you to do now, I want you to pause the video. I want you to have a go at a couple of them. Okay, by all means, rewind the video, rewatch it, make sure you've got it all noted down, but I want you to pause the video and have a go at these next two yourself. Okay guys, right, let's have a look then. So, what I'm hoping you're getting into the habit of now is let's just check we've got a matching pair. I've got a matching pair. I have to have that matching pair in order to do the sine rule, so I'm happy with that. Next thing I need to do, make sure that I'm all labelled up what I need to be, so I can label my sides up. So I've got A, B and C. Remember, they have to be opposite the angle, so C is opposite C and B is opposite B and so on. Okay. And now we fill in. So we've got our flipped version of our formula. So sine A over A is the same as sine B over B, which is the same as sine C over C. We fill in everything we know. So sine A over A, I haven't got anything that will help me with that one. Sine B is now sine X over 6.5. You could leave that as a B, that's absolutely fine, it doesn't matter. And finally, sine C, which is 76, over C, which is 8.1. So, same as before, I have my matching pair just here. Okay, so I'm definitely going to want that one. I've got my missing one here, so they're the two that I'm going to pull down. So I'll have sine X over 6.5 equals sine 76 over 8.1. I'm going to multiply up my 6.5, so I end up with sine X equaling 6.5 sine of 76 over 8.1. In order to find X, inverse sine both sides. So we'll go sine to the minus 1 of 6.5 sine 76 over 8.1. Straight through our calculators. So we'll go sine to the minus 1. Make sure you're using your brackets where you need to. Sine of 76 divided by 8.1 to give us an answer of 51.1 degrees. Okay, right. We'll just have a go at the second one quickly. Again, happy enough to use a sine rule because I've got my matching pair. Need to make sure I finish up my labelling. Now this one's got a lot less labels on it. You've just got to fill them in as you see fit. So if we've got our angle of C here, that means we've got little c across. A and B I can label up as I want to, and I can label my two sides up. We take my formula again. So we've got sine A over A equals sine B over B equals sine C over C, and we'll substitute in. So sine A, which we know is sine 29, over A, which is 19.2, equals sine B over B, equals sine C over 17.1. So again, I've got my matching pair here. I've got my missing one within this one. So they're the two I'm going to pull down. So I'll have sine 29 over 19.2 equals sine C over 17.1. Going to multiply up by my 17.1. So all that's happened this time is I'm working off the other side instead. So I'll end up with 17.1 sine 29 over 19.2 is equal to sine C. So in order to find C, inverse sine both sides gives me sine to the minus 1 of 17.1 sine 29 over 19.2. Straight through your calculators again. Sine to the minus 1, 17.1 sine of 29 over 19.2, which will give me an answer of 25.6 degrees. Okay, I am hoping that we've got those right, or if we didn't, we can see now where we've made are mistakes. What I want you to do now is have a go at those 4. I want, obviously, pause the video, have a go at those 4 for me, okay? And I will then click over onto the answers, so make sure you've had a go at them. There is then a worksheet on Show My Homework for you to have a go at that looks at applying these to exam questions, making sure you can switch between finding a missing angle and a missing side. Okay, so I need you to pause now, I need you to work out those 4. I'll put the answers up in a second, and then can you get on with the combination of finding missing angles and missing sides as well as the application questions. Okay guys, there are your answers for the 4 that we should have done from the video. So we should have A is 35.9, B is 64.5, C is 26.2, and D is 29.3. Make sure you are completing the worksheet that is also on Show My Homework so that we can check that we are able to switch between finding missing angles and missing sides and applying all of this to exam questions. Any problems, please let me know.